Greetings, everyone. Thank you so much. Compliments of the new season. Early in the morning, I don't know what time it was, but whether it was shortly after midnight, I can't remember. I asked you to post your general questions and see if we can discuss them as we begin the new year. I'm happy that most of you have moved to my YouTube channel and you are following the videos and you in the YouTube channel and you participate. If you have not done so, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You will not miss any updates and also participate in the discussions. Let's get to the questions that were posted. I see Comrade Memory Thomas Marupe he has been posting so many questions, but we said one general question, so I'm not sure if we'll be able to answer all the questions that she was posting. Maybe because it's the new year, or maybe she's not familiar with what we do. We will give her benefit of the doubt and try to address all the questions. She begins by saying, are you happy and feel blessed to be the citizen of Zimbabwe? I'm indeed Comrade Memory Thomas Marupe, proudly Zimbabwean, and I do not regret having born in Zimbabwe. Blessing, I am not sure about the blessing, but being proud or happy as a citizen. Yes, I'm happy. This is why we're participating in our political work to build a better society in Zimbabwe. If assuming I was not happy to be a Zimbabwean, I will not take my time to participate in the political work in Zimbabwe and work with other progressive Zimbabweans to build a better Zimbabwe for all. Comrade Ri Moyofuya asked, why are you still awake? Because I was not asleep. Comrade Shepherd Ben Abraham. Shepherd Ben Abraham writes, what time do you sleep? I do not have a set time to sleep. I sleep or do some work, so I don't have a proper time for sleeping. I sleep whenever I feel like sleeping. If in the afternoon I feel like sleeping, because most of the time I work from home, I do sleep, so I don't have set times. I try to rest for 8 hours, but as I said last time, that I break them down. I don't sleep continuously for 8 hours. Comrade Memory Thomas Marupe says, is there any Zimbabwean worried about non-renewable permits? Don't be troubled, but worry about the kingdom of heaven. Okwasemhlabeni kunje and sizokuchiya kunje iphansi phezulu umdlalo wemidlwane. Well, I don't really understand your input, Comrade Memory Thomas Marupe. We have said that when colonizers came, they promised us heaven, not here, and we have explained in some platforms that the communists and Christians, they have one objective. They want to go to heaven, but the difference is that the Christians want to go to heaven after life, whereas communists want heaven now. We want to build our heaven on earth. If then there's another heaven and afterlife, that will be a bonus, but we want to build our own heaven here. This is why we're saying we must be in charge of our own resources. And Memory writes again, I've already said she has been writing so many comments and questions, and I said because it's a new year, she will understand our format, and Then he learned to post one message. She says, "Do you love South Africa?" Yes, I love South Africa. I love actually every African country in the continent. I'm an African, born in Africa, and a proudly African. I will skip the other question because I've already responded to it. And she says, "Do you welcome the decision of permits cancellations?" Yes, we have welcomed it in our statement. We have actually noted the decision not to renew, and we have expressed our disappointment that the permits are not going to be renewed. So, noting the decision and welcoming it are two different things. So we note the decision, and but remain disappointed that permits were not renewed. We had hoped that permits were going to be renewed, but well, the South African cabinet decided otherwise. And then she says, "Do you have plans for 2023 in Zimbabwe?" It is early for me to say so. We will know as the year progresses, 2022. Then a decision might be made later this year or next year. Right, and I will skip this question because Comrade Memory Thomas Marube doesn't know what document I use in South Africa, so I will skip that one, and then I will skip the other one, and yeah, so I will skip the other comments that she wrote. Then Comrade Zamani Chimbishi says, "Will there be any changes about this issue of ZEP, or we better try to apply for these other mainstream visas?" Comrade Zamani, just apply if you qualify. We do not think that cabinet is going to change its decision. A decision has been made. So this is why in our initial statement, when we noted the cabinet decision, we said what we needed to do is to work within the cabinet decision so that we ensure that everyone gets accommodated. So we operate on the basis that the decision is not going to be reversed. This is why, if you follow us on YouTube and on other platforms, this is why we've been talking about waivers, that there are a number of areas where we think the South African government, specifically the Department of Labor and Home Affairs, should grant waivers so that people can qualify to apply for general work visas. And then we should know or have some sense of how many would have applied by mid-year around June, so that we can then again raise these issues with the Department of Home Affairs to say we are remaining with this number, which we now are convinced that will not be able to move. How do they get assisted? So this is why we encourage everyone that qualifies for the mainstream visas to do so, to apply. Then the next person, I will not read their name other than just to respond to what they wrote. Utena siyabuyelani nekhaya. Well, people will go ekhaya at different times. So yeah, and in any case, abanye khona basisekhaya eSouth Africa. So it depends on what you mean by ekhaya, because some basekhaya in South Africa, some basemsebenzini in South Africa asokhaya lawo. Just like some in Bulawayo babe ngekho ekhaya, babe semsebenzini, and they will refer ikhaya as a village. So I'm not sure which one you are talking about. Then Comrade Cassius Mbovu writes, "Since the permits are ending by the end of the year, how are people going to claim UIF and other pensions like Provident Fund, because the bank accounts will be closing on the 31st of December? We are still paying UIF. Izotholakala njani le mali nkokheli?" You cannot claim UIF while you are still fully employed. We were responding yesterday in our WhatsApp chat group saying our focus in the first quarter of 2022 is not UIF and other work benefits for a person that have cancelled or resigned or whatever the case might be, is no longer employed. We are not focusing on that now. For now, we're focusing on people to be accommodated in other visas. We will deal with this issue towards the end of the year. We will, in the next month or so, give full details on how one applies for UIF. So we will certainly deal with this later, but not at this stage. And you cannot claim a UIF while you are still employed. So the question which will then obviously arise, and what we will discuss, particularly with the Department of Labor, is to say if a person would not have managed to move to other visa by the 31st of December 2022, and they have to return back, how do they then claim UIF? So we'll have this discussion, and we will get assistance, and we'll obviously communicate. Comrade Chasing Hart says, I heard someone say they just refused to accept his papers at UIF, saying his work permit is expired. I'm not sure about this, but Comrade Charles, this person might require representation by trade union to assist the person, because I'm sure that the person has received the letter from the Department of Home Affairs. The Department of Home Affairs has been sending emails to those that in 2017 included their emails when they submitted their applications. And I presume you are talking about someone who's a ZEP holder. But if the person is not a ZEP holder, they might need to contact a union to assist them. We've always said that it's important that workers join trade unions. Trade unions, they become handy in situations like this. Comrade Gift Bindlo writes, guys, let's pack ourselves and go back home before it's too late. Ekhaya kumnandi mina ngibonile amthathi ngokuba lana. Comrade Gift Bindlo, if you want to go back to Zim, you don't have to mobilize others. Just as you never mobilized anyone to say, let's go to South Africa. I don't know how you came to South Africa, and I assume you came legally. So you just picked up your passport and came to South Africa without mobilizing your entire village, your entire town to come to South Africa to look for better opportunities. So if you think it's time for you to pack your bags and go, I would advise that you do not have to mobilize all of us to go back to Zimbabwe. Just pack your bags and go back to Zimbabwe if you want to go. I've heard this conversation where people are saying, no, let's prepare to go back to Zimbabwe. One comrade whom I will not name, we were saying to me, Comrade Mapena, let's mobilize migrant communities and assist them to go back to Zimbabwe. And I said the first thing that you need to do is to mobilize those that are inside Zimbabwe so that they do not come to South Africa. To me, it doesn't make sense to say you want to mobilize people that are in South Africa to go back to Zimbabwe when you cannot mobilize that are in Zimbabwe not to come to South Africa. We all know what is currently happening at the port of entry, Bedbridge, where thousands of young people are coming to South Africa to look for better opportunities. So why not talk to them in Zimbabwe, stop them and say, no, it is not necessary to go to South Africa. Let's stay in Zimbabwe. Once we then have people who are not coming to South Africa, you can then begin to mobilize those that are already in South Africa to say, let's go back. But what it does to me, what does it solve? To say, let's mobilize those that are in South Africa to go back. It doesn't solve anything. So you must first create conditions for young people not to leave Zimbabwe. Those that are in Zimbabwe currently, they should not leave. Create those conditions. Once those conditions are created, factories are opened, people are employed, people are running businesses profitable, we have resolved the currency question, our economy is doing well, and the young people feel no need to come to South Africa. It is at that point that people do not need to be mobilized to go back home. People will simply make a decision to say, it's better for me to go back home than being in South Africa. So the talk about a campaign to say let's mobilize people to go to Zimbabwe, it is not progressive at all. So if anyone wants to go back to Zimbabwe, just get into the bus or get your air ticket, go to Zimbabwe. We'll continue chatting with you on Facebook while you're in Zimbabwe and while some of us are here. Comrade Smile Vigindu Musebele writes, ulabangani or colleagues bamashona yin, if so, how do they treat you? Not only do I have friends of Shona speaking, I actually have family members who are Shona speaking. I have my sisters. Auntie was it in Africa, in our culture, there's nothing called a cousin sister. I have sisters that are married to Shona guys, so I have abazukulu of Shona origin. So it is not about the friends or colleagues, it is about family. I've got families who are Shona speaking. I grew up with them, I live with them. So when it's about friends, I have family members who are of Shona origin. You know, ukuthi osisi bethu njoba ngisitsho ukuthi there's nothing called a cousin sister or cousin brother. Osisi bethu whom most of us we know ukuthi they are married to obhuti abakhuluma isiShona, and we know again ukuthi some of our brothers are married to women who are of Shona origin. So there's been intermarriages between the tribes, between the Ndebele and the Shona. So Comrade Mali Vigindu Usebele to then ask to say, how do your colleagues treat you? You should actually ask, how do my family members who are of Shona origin treat me? Then we can extend to Abangan. And I also guess that you do have family members who are of Shona origin. If we're to do a research about your family, ukuthi in your family akula muntu yini kosebele from Cholocho or othethwe emaswingo kumbe Manicaland, you will then be telling us udayi bakhona ngabazukulu bakho. So that's the reality of life. Yeah, so these were the questions. I think that there's a last one by Comrade Roderick Muzala Dube says, I can't understand something here. Let me read again. I can't understand something here as saying apply other visas, but the issue of not renewing ZEP is to eliminate Zimbos from their country and from jobs. Look, the issue is, Comrade Roderick Muzala Dube, as we understand it, as explained by government of South Africa, is that the ZEP or a special permit cannot remain special forever. At some point, it has to come to a conclusion. You remember, this is what also the Deputy President raised when we met him in Gwamhlanga. If you saw the video where he was responding to issues that we raised with him, he said we cannot, or government cannot continue to have a permit that is special. At some point, you have to align with the Immigration Act. So you don't need continuously to have cabinet making a decision whether to renew, not to renew. So this is why then they said, which of course we are saying we're disappointed by that, because as we have already expressed even in our earlier statement, that most people would not qualify. But what in their thinking is that you need people to move to other visas and end the special permits, so that those that qualify can then move, and also assist those that will not qualify. Then the issue of unemployment is raised in the letters that have been circulating, Home Affairs Department sending to various ZEP holders, is that 1.8 1.8%. Unemployment grew by 1.8% in the last year, meaning that we now have 34% unemployment in South Africa. It is rising, and it has been cited as one of the reasons why permits cannot be renewed. But we also are aware that when we also made a presentation, when we met the deputy president, which I'm sure you saw the video, we argued and we continue to argue that if indeed 178,000 are holders of ZEP, that will constitute 1.2% of the labor force, which is 4.3 million according to the Department of Labor. And then not every ZEP holder works. Others are starting, others are running businesses, whether they are running hair salons and other businesses. So it means those that are officially employed who are holders of ZEP are lower than a percentage. And we also said, and we continue to argue that, and then those that are within that bracket lower than a percentage, they are people of low skill, and we know that the employer always wants to employ someone who's not documented, particularly domestic workers in the construction industry, because they exploit them. We have seen in the last 3 years or so, many ZEP holders taking their employers to CCMA because they cannot accept or could not accept low wages and bad working conditions. So an employer will not replace, say, a ZEP holder who's working as a domestic worker with a South African who will not agree to work 12 hours or even 16 hours, which most of our people, other migrants do, who are not documented. So that's an area which we think there was no proper analysis around that question. So it will not, in our view, address the unemployment because the people that are holders of ZEP, they are less than a percentage that are formally employed. And we have said that South Africans will then obviously benefit from if ZEP holders who are professionals will not be able to move to other visas, like your teachers, your lawyers, your accountants. It is then that South Africans will benefit, because if you are a teacher, you need to have a South African Council of Educators certificate for you to be in class. And if you can't produce that, and because South Africa continues to have many graduates that it is producing every year, those places will be taken up by South Africans. So it is in those areas that South Africans will benefit. But we do not think that many of them will then be employed in the farms as domestic workers in the construction industry, where people are being exploited. But look, it's a decision of the South African cabinet. We need to work within it to see that we do assist those that will not be able to move to other visas. Otherwise, thank you, comrades. Siyabonga kini lonke likhona. Enjoy your weekend. We will also try to take some few questions next week if time allows. Ngibonge futhi, as I've said, ukuthi some of you are following us on YouTube channel and you are contributing. Siyabonga kakhulu. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.